So it's here, the public consultation from the UK CAA regarding their review of the UAS, the drone rules here for the UK, which are going to be coming into effect over the next couple of years. Here are 5 things I absolutely hate about this consultation. Number 1, there is so much unproven tech. All the way through the consultation, we have so many new pieces of tech which are going to be needed to add to manufacturers' apps, which are going to need to be in terms of geo-awareness and geo-fencing, etc. Even things like pop-up quizzes and being able to register and that type of thing. It's a lot of tech that isn't in place right now and isn't used anywhere else in the world. Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to design it? Are they expecting drone manufacturers to do all of the work there? My fear is matching this point 1 with my next point 2, could actually mean that we see manufacturers pulling out of the UK completely and not even bothering selling Class Marks drones here in the UK at all. Point 2 is just that. There is too much onus being placed on the manufacturer. If we're expecting manufacturers to mark their drones and actually conform to our own assessment body for a UK 1 label to eventually appear alongside the C1 label, I just don't understand it. I understand that we need a separation for the UK and we need to show that we have our own assessment bodies, etc. I completely understand that. I really do. And whether or not there are UK benefits there is minimal. But if you keep putting more and more onus on the manufacturers to have to do more and more to be able to sell drones here in the UK, there's going to become a point where they say, actually, do you know what? For the size of market, we're just not going to bother. Now, that might not affect the very top echelon. So DJI and drones, camera drones, etc. like that are probably going to be absolutely fine. But what about the lower end manufacturers, the cheaper drones, the drones that actually a lot of recreational flyers, even some commercial flyers actually do rely on? If we put too much onus and we have too much unproven tech, then it's going to be a real problem. The fact is, the consultation itself is confused and does not know how enforcement will work. It's something they're still working on. And when you have all of this new tech coming into place and you don't know how you're going to effectively enforce it, you kind of need to dial back. In my opinion, you need to engineer back from that point. What is the thing we need to enforce? What is the issue here? Now let's design the tech. Let's design the drone rules to actually reach that point. The evidence within the report is not based on facts in terms of incidents, etc. There's a lot of news reports in here that are being linked to at the bottom of the pages in the consultation. There's a lot of wishy-washy incidents that are reported, 18,000 odd reports to police, but how many of those led to convictions? How many of those reports were any kind of issue in terms of illegal drone flights? Let's just take a look at that paragraph for a second. So within the very introduction of the report here, under section 1.4, within the context, it says data provided by police and government demonstrate that these risks have already materialized and are growing. Since November 2020, police have received 18,290 reports of drone flights involving a legal, nuisance, criminal, or safety concern. In the first 9 months of 2023, police have received 5,005 reports, a 10% increase over the same period in 2022. In the 6 weeks following the 23rd of September 2023, the CAA received 558 reports of UAS operating within flight restriction zones or outside an FRZ, but over 400 feet. Between January and October 2023, 9 UAS have been reporting between 6 and 13,000 feet. Now, when we actually look at the data points, if you look at the page here, they've got the little data points which explain where they're getting these stats from. One is data collected by the MPCC counter drone team from police forces and other agencies up to 6th of October, but there's no link to that information. There's no data pool here for us to click on and find out. Again, bear in mind, 18,290 reports of drone flights involving legal, nuisance, criminal, or safety concern. How many of those actually resulted in anything? How many of the reports of people talking about dangerous driving? How many reports of people talking about parking violations, etc.? How many of those actually turn out to be any kind of prosecutable or any kind of illegal activity? Now, I am fully aware of anecdotal evidence, and it's been here on the channel with interviews with air traffic control, where we have absolutely that there is evidence out there of drones being flown within FRZs. But again, show us the actual evidence. Don't try to show us anecdotal evidence or show us real data that doesn't actually prove anything. The link here that they're showing is, again, not a link to it, but it's alleged breach of air navigation order reported by air traffic controllers. Highly reliable people. I'm sure there are reports. Why on earth couldn't that have been included in here? Because right now you're basically telling us that based on data collected from police forces and other agencies and data collected of only alleged or reports of incidents, for me, that isn't good enough. Where are the actual incidents happening? Where are the conviction rates? The next point that really frustrates me, that I absolutely do use that very strong word, hate, regarding this consultation, Gatwick. We are in 2023 and the completely unproven incident, and with zero evidence that a drone was even in the vicinity, let alone actually flown, certainly evidence that they've presented to us, the public. We are presented by 1.5, which states the impacts of these risks go beyond safety and security. They also require significant public resources to manage, cause disruption to lives and businesses, and compromise the viability of the commercial UAS sector. The closure of Gatwick Airport in 2018 was estimated to cost police £459,000. The airport between 1.4 million and 15 million pounds, and airlines over 35 million. As I say, it's 2023 and we're still talking about Gatwick and the drone incident as if we have evidence that something actually happened. Of all the things there, 10, 11, 12 at the end of the paragraph, which links down to all of these parts, they are news reports. They are news reports of what allegedly happened without any kind of evidence whatsoever. Interestingly, there's no counterpoints there, which I would perhaps expect from the airspace regulator in terms of being fair. If we are allowing them to base their consultations on this kind of data without calling it out, then frankly, we're not doing our jobs as recreational and commercial drone pilots here in the UK. The fact that they are not basing their consultations on actual hard facts of convictions, of actual incidents, or even evidence, AAIB reports, that type of thing, but also the fact that Gatwick has its own little section within the context and within the introduction, to me is frankly disgusting. And the fifth thing I hate about this proposal is the lack of FPV, the lack of self-build explanation that actually really looks to support what is a large and vital hobby, and also a large and growing part of the drone commercial sector. FPV drone flights are being used more and more across TV and film and in so many cool locations for fly-throughs, for marketing, for everything else like that. It is a growing thing. And so many more, certainly on the camera drone side of things, so many more commercial flights can take place in the open category. Look at the fact that we're going to be able to fly C1 drones again over people, which is fantastic in the what was called the A1 airspace. So to me, the fact that there isn't any specific mentions in each of these parts of how they would look to deal with FPV is something which frankly shows that they're just not listening to their audience. I'm very confident. Look at my live streams. There's lots of people. Look at my videos. There's lots of people commenting, asking, what about FPV? There is a very large, established and very safe community of FPV self-builders that we need to look after here, that we need to bring into the regulation and ensure that their questions are answered and that they can see their future within this consultation. So those are the 5 initial things that I hate about the UK CAA public consultation on the future of drone use here in the UK. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd really like to hear what you're thinking about this, and particularly what you don't like about what's going on with this consultation. There's lots more content on the channel regarding this topic coming up, both in recorded format, short formats like this, but also longer live streams. So do keep an eye out on the channel. Sean out.